All right, welcome into the Midday Show. This is the Hashmark Sports Network, brought to you in part by Casamigos, as well as OddsJam. Get the sharpest EV play on the market, oddsjam.com. You can visit HashmarkSports.com as well, where you can get positive EV today. Again, shop the lines left and right. If you got multiple books, check it out. They got lines that you just can't resist. They have every line. Check it out, OddsJam. Also sponsored by Rudy's, 17501. Dixie Highway, Homewood, Illinois. Go check them out. And also Casamigos. Casamigos. Did I say that? Philly fan, let's bring him in. Let's bring him in, Philly, for the midday.
You see me good, bro? You good?
Yeah. You look nice there with the, what do you got on there? You're going all Bears.
I did this for you, bro. Say.
I like that.
Walter Payton for you.
Walter Payton is my guy.
I figured he might be. I was like, see if he picks up on the Chicago vibe.
Yeah, that was easy. That was easy.
My wife asked me if I was going to get shit because I'm a Philly fan and I'm wearing a Bears jersey. I'm like, nah, we're good. This is a throwback. This is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, no, never. That's never an issue. You know, a lot of issues I have mainly are ex MLB jerseys that, you know, players that weren't good that, you know, people still wear. So
yeah, you do see that quite a bit, right? Like the guy's too cheap to go out and buy some new jersey.
Yeah, you know, but like, yeah, you know, Walter Payton's a jersey that you can definitely rock any day of the week, anytime, you know, any place, and just be an NFL fan. Who's your NFL team? You're an Eagles fan, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, fan of the league, but that's my team directly. Yes. There was like a time in like the mid 2000s where I collected a lot of jerseys. I still have a whole shit ton of them, just like in bags, you know, like stored away in my closet. So I got like Pete Rose, Nolan Ryan, you know, just a lot of Hall of Famers but then I'm like, what am I going to wear a jersey every day of my life? So I kind of was just displaying them, I guess, a little bit.
Nice.
And now they just, I have them all bagged up, and once in a while I'll rip one out.
Yeah. I mean, you can get some of those signed.
No question. And this is a Mitchell and Ness jersey. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but that's like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if Walter Payton was still alive, that'd be a pretty cool signature.
Yeah, that would be. But to have a Walter Payton jersey like that, it's pretty legit. I don't have a jersey like that. So,
I'm right. I'm telling you. I like, as a Cowboys fan. Holy shit, I can't believe I said that. As an Eagles fan, I obviously directly hate the Cowboys, but I came across an old trying to remember who. Why does the phone always ring when I'm in here?
The bookie, man. Never rings. He know every time. He knows we're here. You know.
This I swear I get maybe 1-2 phone calls a day on this phone, and it's always when I'm talking to you. Shut up.
It's all set up. I work for the FBI. We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I was bought an Emmitt Smith jersey, and then I caught myself. I'm like, I hated this guy for so long, I just can't do it.
Emmitt Smith, what a great player.
Yep.
What a great
Agreed.
team. Cowboys. Cowboys, great team in the 90s.
Yeah, and their fans are living in it still.
I know. So are the Bears. 85 Bears, you know, that's all we have.
85 man, the Super Bowl Shuffle, man, that was one of my first rap songs that I really loved.
Yeah, well, I think you might be older than we are. I don't know, but I was born in 1984.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know if, I don't count it like everybody else does, but sure. I still was alive technically.
Yeah, I'm a little bit older than you. You were 84, so like you're like 6 years older than I'm 6 years older than you are.
Okay.
I'll be 44 in July.
It's a good number.
But it's not a bad number. I'm not
going to be 43.
I lose track of how old I'm going to be. Either 43 or 44, whatever that day. But what I was going to say, like I say the same thing though. Like I was born 2 years. The Phillies won the World Series in 1980. Like I was alive, but I was 2 years old. So it's like I could count it, but I didn't really see it. My first World Series was in 2008 with Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins team. And then I never saw the Eagles win a Super Bowl in my life until 2017. So that was miraculous. Yep. And then the Sixers won a title in 83. And I was at the parade with my dad, but I was 5. So it's like, how much, Yeah,
you don't remember that much.
Vaguely. Like I remember bits and pieces, and I have pictures that kind of jog some memories, but like, do I really remember it? No.
Right. Yeah, no, you don't. I was going to ask you that. So your family in Philly was big sports fans. Were you guys always there in Philly?
My dad is originally from Ohio, moved here when he was young. So he grew up like an Indians, if I'm allowed to say that still, and Browns
Yeah,
fan.
you can say that here.
Yeah, can you say that? Okay.
Yeah, we don't refer to the Guardians. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, so he I remember as a kid growing up and watching Ernest Biner and Kevin Mack and some of the guys in can't think of the quarterback's name now. Bernie Kosar.
Yep.
And they had a pretty good team, but they were been horrendous mostly. And then the Indians had a few good teams as I was growing up. He was a big Bob Feller fan because Bob Feller was like one of the first pitchers to throw 100 miles an hour on record.
Okay.
Moved here when he was like young and then became an absolute diehard Philly fan. I'm here my whole life. So it's just in my blood, dude. I mean, I don't know if you can see this or not, or if I can even get it out. Hold on a second here.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't you have a lot of tattoos? Yeah, so there we go. Sixers, everything. Philly.
Yeah, yep. They
Right
call it
on,
here
okay.
4 for 4. That's when you're 4 for 4. That means you love all the major sports teams. So
what's the what was the green one? Did I miss that? What was the green
that's
one?
the Eagles, old school Eagles helmet.
Oh yeah, way better logo back in the day than now.
Yes, sir. They're going back to the Kelly green this year, apparently, which I'm.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Whether I think it's going to be one of their alternate jerseys. I don't think it's full time, but they had to get an approval. This has been something the fans have been clamoring for since I can remember, and I don't know why they haven't done it. This is probably the jersey that I would say most fans love the most. The Kelly green, mid '90s jersey.
Randall Cunningham,
and Reggie White. Absolutely, yeah. Teams were dynamic. They had one of the best defenses. If you look at that in all of the NFL, maybe in all the history of the NFL, and they didn't get out of the first round. Reggie White, Clyde Simmons, Jerome Brown, God rest his soul. I mean, this just an amazing, amazing team. And it was never the defense's fault. The offense just couldn't score.
A part of the Fog Bowl game as well.
Bro, let me tell you something about the Fog Bowl. And that's an interesting point you bring up. There is no doubt in my core that the Eagles win that game if it's not for the fog. Yeah. I don't know if you remember that, but
I don't.
Cunningham threw a touchdown
I rewatched it, but I don't remember it.
Well, so you remember when he threw the pass to Keith Jackson in the end zone, and he it was literally in his hand, and he dropped it, right? Because he couldn't see the fucking ball. The fact that they played that game, with gambling and everything today, there's no way that game plays. There's no way they would play that game.
You had to take the under. I don't even think they probably didn't offer it. They had to. I mean, I would imagine, but maybe it was an overplay with all the fumble opportunities, but you can't see anybody. So I don't know.
It was unbelievable. They even asked both coaches, do you want to play? And they're like, yeah. And I'm convinced, there was no fog prior to that game. It rolled in, and 45 minutes after the game ended, it rolled out like it was never there. That was absolutely, if anybody's never seen that, that is one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen in a sporting event.
Why didn't they just wait?
I don't know, bro. That's why I feel like in today's game, they would have waited. I don't think they play in that game because
no way.
With the viewership and everything, you couldn't even see it.
No way. No, I agree. Well, that's great banter as we start the show here. I like it's like the pre-post talk to get us warm going right into the show. It was nice.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. So what do you got going, man?
We're going to be pretty quick today. I mean, other than we're going to go over some of the NBA stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about the baseball, what we've seen, and we'll just go right into it. So we'll start with baseball, and then we'll preview NBA. So baseball started. We're seeing a lot of indifference. Obviously, the shortened spring training because of the lockout. Teams have, I think, 2 extra guys, right? 28 versus 26. So those rosters are going to go down soon. What are you seeing right now so far? Early betting markets, things like that. You've been telling your guys to lay a little low, but some of those have been hitting. Obviously, last night you had the Toronto Blue Jays. Yeah. That was a great play. Some positive money there. So what have you been seeing so far?
Yeah, exactly what you said. I mean, baseball for me early, and this is pretty much any sport I cap. I typically I want to dip my toe in. I always say I want to watch, get a little feel. I don't, last year teams are different. Spring training doesn't tell you a whole lot. So, I feel, and then you got, moving from the warm weather in spring training up to some of the colder climates you're seeing now. It's just a weird sort of time. A lot of times, managers don't want to overextend pitchers early, bullpens, you don't want to overuse them early because you're going to, so I feel like it's a feeling out process, but I do think if you can exploit like that Blue Jays game for me, you're getting a Blue Jays team priced at that price with what I believe was the better pitcher, and you're getting them because they going against the Yankees at home. And That's kind of like why you're seeing that. And in my opinion, the Blue Jays bash. The Yankees obviously do as well, but I just felt like the starting pitching edge was pretty great. Manoah to me is if you don't know him, is a very underrated pitcher. Not underrated. I don't know that he's rated yet. He's going to be a stud, I think. And I think it's really, if you can find favorable pitching matchups early, it's not a bad way to go. I just like, totals and stuff. It's tough. So I have been laying low. I've only been playing a couple plays a day and just trying to find a spot where it seems to make sense. But at the same time, it's like, it's a lot of forecasting and a lot of hypothesizing of what you believe will happen as opposed to what's actually happening.
The bookie calling again. No, it's totally fine. I love it. These guys can go out like Quintana today for the Pirates. He could throw a gem, even though I'm on the over.
I completely agree. That's the thing. Like on a one-off situation. All right. So one of the plays I was talking to my guys about, and I even mentioned it on a TikTok yesterday, is I thought potentially the Mariners yesterday at plus money might be worth a sprinkle because Dylan Bundy is a gas can if you just look at him over his career and over like the last little while. But he threw a gem last night. So like in a one-off scenario, you got that. But I bet you if they play that matchup 10 times, they probably get to him several of those times. So, but today, like you just mentioned the Mariners game, I think part of the reason why that price is minus 120 is twofold. One is because Vince Velasquez stinks. And I know that because he pitched for the Phillies for 6 years and he was torched all the time, whether it was starter, whether it was bullpen. Then he went to San Diego. He didn't pitch better for them. Now going to the White Sox, a team that can give you 8-9 runs, that's probably the perfect spot for him. But they're going up against the Seattle's elite starter, Matt Brash. He's like got an electric, So I think this is a play I actually gave out on TikTok, to be honest.
You gave out the Mariners, right?
First five.
First five. Right. Yep.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I think Velasquez, to me, there's an edge there. Now you're getting a guy in his major league debut, so obviously there could be jitters. The White Sox are a legit lineup. Obviously, anything can happen, but Velasquez to me is one inning away from imploding. I think the Mariners can get to him. Okay. And Brash has a slider, and the White Sox have a lot of righties. They're a little bit aggressive. Like that's the perfect formula. I just need him to not give up a 3-run home run. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we'll see how it plays out, but I kind of like that.
Yeah. No, it's a good angle, and it's a lot of time. I don't understand when you see a lot of these people giving out trends as well, when they're like, oh, the Sox in their last 10 games are 0-5. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is from last year. Like you have no. And they still give the information out, and it's coming from their betting tools that I understand this, but
sure.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I see. I'm not a huge trend guy, but I'll give you a solid difference. Like you gave out an interesting stat a couple days ago about the Celtics, where you said they were like 16-0 in the first quarter.
And then they ended up going 17-0. Yeah,
that's tangible, right? Because it's this year. That makes sense,
right?
But when you're saying like the Celtics are 0-9 in their last 15 years, it's like, dude, Kevin McHale was playing when half that trend came out. Like,
yes, correct. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not a giant trends guy, but like that particular stat that's why I said, well, that's an eye-opening stat. That's a good find for it, I think.
That was wild because at what point do you fade it? But we've been riding it so much, we're just going to continue to ride it. I don't know if we're going to take that into the playoffs yet, but it was amazing. Yeah, anytime the Celtics were favored on the road in the first quarter, they cashed that bet 16 times in a row. 17 actually. They just did it recently. So again,
well, it made so I had them that game full game as one of my card plays.
Okay.
When you gave that out, I was like, that goes hand in hand with. I mean, I like them anyway, and I didn't know
they crushed them. They crushed them that game, I think. Anyways, I think it was the Bulls. It was the Bulls, right?
Yeah, they crushed them. Yes, that was a good find, dude. I got to be honest. I like digging shit. When I saw that, I'm like, that's a good one, man. That's a gem.
And it's usually one that I like to find in the 8 range, but there's so many of them. And that's where I think betting tools are kind of interesting. Anytime I find those 18-0s, like the Boston Bruins, for some reason, at home, coming off a loss or something, I think they're like 0-17 on a puck line. It's just fucking nuts. It's something about them coming back home after a loss. They can't. I don't know. Anyways, trends are great. Trends suck. I fucking hate trends. When the trends guy come on though, things, you're right. I turn it. I just turn it because some of them are just crazy, and that's how some guys make it though. That's what they do.
Yeah, if you throw out enough of them, it's like, oh, this guy 0-9 to the under and 1-4. It's like, okay. I mean, it sounds like you know what you're talking about, but some of them, I just, like you say, you look at them and you're like, that
There's
shit don't mean anything.
It's like prop bets, or parlays. There's just so many there's so many options. All right, cool. So baseball off to a great start. It's going to be an interesting one. You're almost talking me off that White Sox, but I'm gonna leave it full game. I think they get in there.
Oh, yeah. That's why I specifically went to the first half, because I agree with you at some point. It's just even if let's say the Seattle Mariners get up 8-3 early, I still think the White Sox can come back and tie that game.
Yeah, it's interesting because there is a little bit of it's cloudy here on the south side today.
Okay.
And it's gloomy, but there's these wind bursts and gusts. So I don't know. Now it's kind of dead, but we'll see.
That's why I was wondering why that total was sitting at 9. Like it was at 9, right? And automatically when I think of Velasquez, I'm like, the thing I think about is over, right? But then I'm like, but Brash has something to do with that and why it's maybe not as high.
Right.
Because if you fuck around with the alternate line, just if you wanted to do it, 9 was even money. But if you wanted to do it at 8.5, it was like minus 130. I'm like, wow, what a difference.
Yeah, it's a big difference because it's a hitter's ballpark for sure. And I mean, it's when the sun's out, it's nice, but it's getting gloomy here. All right, let's jump right into the NBA. Let's preview some of these games. Let's talk. What do we got here? Let's start with tonight's game.
Yeah.
Everyone always says they're notoriously unders, blah, 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 blah. I get that.
All right.
This NBA, though, this year was wild. Now, a lot of those over teams aren't in it, whatever, or it was a lot of scenario play, but I'm a little worried. I think there's going to be a lot of overs here. I don't know.
I can absolutely see that for sure. You're right. I mean, because I know you're right. Playoffs, typically the pace of play slows down. You see a lot more half court
especially in like the game ones, or your thoughts, just because he spent time in Philly. Ben Simmons, obviously his status is 0 for game 1. Is this mental? I mean, is this I feel bad for the kid. I don't understand it. Right. What's up with this guy?
This is obviously an enigma. I mean, like so going back, I think, honestly, like maybe like mid-season last year, maybe it was a little before that, there was some issues that came up. I don't know how much this made it nationally, but his sister, who was on Twitter, was coming out and saying that she was like molested as a child. And
wow,
it was due to, I'm trying to remember who she said it was that did it. Her brother-in-law, not Ben, somebody else in the family, but apparently Ben's very close with her, right? Well, right after this, all this shit starts coming down, and this thing made national news, not national, but at least huge news around here. It got talked about all the time. He had like this thing where he took like a little bit of a leave of absence, personal issues, and a lot of people thought that he was attending to this situation. So, do I think there's a possibility the guy's suffering from something that maybe his family, and certainly, because it kind of started to fall away from downhill from that. And I'm not going to make any bones about that. It's tough to play in this city sometimes with this fan base because, they want you to win. And when you're not playing well and you're getting paid, they get some of the boo action.
Yep.
Do I feel like some of it was mental? Yeah, there's no question about it. But like the guy went from being like 72% free throw shooter in his rookie season to like just falling off a cliff at 30-some%. Like, I mean, and like being afraid to literally go to the line, being afraid to dunk a basketball because he was afraid he was going to get fouled. So I do think there's something mental there.
Yeah, that's definitely that's eye opening. And
and like the whole back thing.
No, you're right. That'll change you.
Right, and I don't know if it all correlates, but I think it definitely has something to do with it. And then like he's out now with a back issue. Like I don't know how you blow your back out when you haven't played basketball literally in 10 months. I'm not questioning it at all. But I just wonder if it's related. Like if he's not really mentally there, so he's making up excuses. Like game 6 or game 7 of the Hawks series last year, there was some really, I don't know if they were even rumors. There was some really interesting information that came out that he tried to fake a fake positive COVID test so he didn't have to play.
And, really?
And he was so like that. There was like, because I literally thought that he was a little bit scared to take the floor because in front of that fan base. And he's afraid to fail kind of thing. And it's a weird situation with Ben, but as a human being, I hope he gets it together, but I'm not totally convinced that he plays basketball. Like, cause it's been known that he doesn't, I don't know that he loves the sport. Like, he loves the money and he loves being rich, but it never seemed like something that he was all that passionate about. He's more passionate about his gaming and his video games. If you ever heard him talk about that.
Which ones were those? What games were those?
Oh, you know what, dude? I don't, modern, I think it was what was it called? Modern Warcraft, I believe, is one of the ones he talks about a lot.
So does he play those?
Yeah, and he's endorsed. He does it on a high level.
Really?
So, the running joke around here was the only time he shoots is on his video games.
That's pretty funny. So he's at home just playing video games. Wow.
Yeah, right. So there was a lot of, does he love it? Because he never really improved. You got guys like Tyrese Maxey, right? Who was a 30% three-point shooter last year. He shot 43% this year on 4 attempts a game. That is that's upside I haven't seen a guy do in a long time. And he's a guy that works at it tirelessly. That's nothing that you really ever saw Ben do. So I feel like that's the difference between wanting it and not wanting it, or not caring as much. Ben has always been the best at every level and never really had to, do extra to be the best at every level. And now he's here and he's struggling, and I don't know if he knows how to handle it.
Yeah, he's definitely dealing with something mentally. It's clear. And I wonder if he was just a pawn in the trade, or the hopes of, once he gets better, he'll be an asset.
Oh, no doubt about it. Because I think with Brooklyn, they're not asking him to really be an offensive threat. It's more like play defense and get people maybe I don't know if they're going to use him as the point guard, but he's certainly a good ball handler. But you see, though, the problem with Ben is that when you get into offensive sets, if you're not willing to shoot at all, then a defense sags off you and you're playing 4-on-5 on offense. It's like a power play. At some point, you got to be willing to shoot.
I mean, that's the thing is I would assume next year he comes back. I don't think he plays this year. And I think next year, over the summer, he works on things mentally, and really gets it together. And I think, the Nets are going to be, pretty good next year as well.
I mean, I would hope that would be the case for him. I just, they said there was first they said he was shut down for the year basically. And then the report came out that said that if they make it to the playoff, actually past the play-in game, that he might come back. And I'm just wondering, I keep feeling like they're going to make it to the past the play-in game. And then the goalpost will get kicked back again. He's not ready again.
Yeah.
I just don't see it, but we'll see.
Yeah. They'll probably keep it small chunking, delaying it. So it's not a thing for him and, or whatever. But, listen, everybody knows he's dealing with some shit, whatever. Take your time. Right.
That's it.
Next game, Hornets Hawks, this one in Atlanta. The line hasn't really moved much. Sat at 4.5 since the open. I'm on the Hornets plus 4.5. I don't know. I might be crazy. I've already booked this one. It's the only bet that I ran to the window with, and the totals come down a little bit. It was the highest total on the board. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I could see that, man. I haven't made a play on this either yet. I would agree with you, though. I could see the Hornets side of it. I mean, the Hawks, they turned it up a little bit defensively last year in the playoffs, especially when they're playing against the Sixers. They were better, but they also had John Collins too, and he's a big part of that.
Right.
Plumlee's been playing decent center. I'm thinking Hayward's out still. But yeah. I can see the Charlotte side of it because I actually think that they probably can be the better defensive team, and they've probably been playing the better defense overall recently. So, yeah.
Yeah, Ball's been playing out of his mind. That team is on a mission. They've been playing, they've just been playing, dude. So I love them. Spurs Pelicans next game. What's interesting about this one in New Orleans, 5.5, 227 here. What are your thoughts?
Well, I know that Brandon Ingram said he's going to play. Although that concerns me some. Because he's a big part of what they do.
Yeah,
I like the Pelicans team when they're whole and they're healthy because they do play defense. I think there's some matchup issues that you can call size wise. Jackson Hayes is a 7-foot athletic kid. Brandon Ingram's long. Valanciunas is big. And then you got CJ and Herb Jones and all these guys. I kind of lean to the Pelicans. I do. I haven't made anything official yet, but that was my initial thoughts anyway.
Yeah. I agree. I like Pelicans to win the game. I don't know if they're going to cover the spread. Listen, Spurs playing game, Popovich team.
What's the
Never give
spread
up.
again?
5.5 right now. But it's a game. The Spurs have fallen flat before and been routed. The Spurs also this year notoriously have been down big and come back. So another live
Yes.
game for me. All these games are live for me. I'm not even gonna do anything with that. I'm hoping the Hornets line goes the other way tomorrow, but we'll see.
I would agree with you there. I mean, actually, those spreads and they're sharp lines. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
I would agree. See, and I probably should have spoken to that. Like, I don't know that I like the Pelicans to necessarily cover. I'm just purely talking from a win standpoint.
Yeah, correct,
Yeah, right.
correct. Yeah, and totally. Let's see here. We're not even going to go into the game ones yet. I think it's a good cover. I just wanted to do the playing games today.
Cool.
We do have though some interesting series coming up. When you do the NBA playoffs, what do you do? Do you do series bets, or you just do every game individually? What do you do?
A little bit of like I will say I don't do a ton of series bets. However, I did sprinkle on the Milwaukee Bucks -2.5 games against Chicago. It was like -121. It's up to like my book says it has it at like -160 now. Now,
okay,
I wouldn't be surprised if you could get it FanDuel better than that or something like that. This is local Parks Casino book, but
still ahead of the market, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm on the right side of it. It's just that's them winning either like 4-0 or 4-1 again, Milwaukee versus Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts? You're Chicago. I mean, you're there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it's a sweep at all. I think they get one. I'm with you 4-1. Now, here's the thing. It's the playoffs, number one. Number two, I can see Levine having one game, DeRozan having one game, and if like the bench and everybody snaps and Vooch has a game, there's maybe 2 games there. But as you know, the more complete team is by far and away without Ball. I mean, it's the Milwaukee Bucks. They win the series, but it's a good price for what you're paying. It's a great bet.
Yeah, I like it. I thought it was, it's better than what I'm going to get the Bucks probably, each individual game for. I mean, as far as I'm never going to catch the Bucks -121 on like a money line or whatever. So unless I'm betting it in game, obviously.
Right.
But like the thing with the, what we talked the other last time we shot, a little bit about like the NBA being rigged. Well, I will tell you, whether you believe it or not, I mean, it certainly benefits the NBA to go past 4 games, right? I mean, money, revenue, all that shit. So
I
if
mean,
the Bucks were to get up 3-0, I can see some calls being favorable to the to help Chicago a little bit.
Yeah, it helps Chicago, and I think there is something there to be said. Only 90 miles north. It is somewhat of a very close NBA rivalry now, especially with what happened this year where we had, what's his name go after Caruso, not Covington, the other guy, the other white guy.
The dude from the, God, my guy played for, oh my Lord.
This is two for two. We've forgotten a player in the NBA. Last week it was Patrick
Williams.
Yeah, Patrick Williams. This is
why am I can't
this
believe you're doing this to me.
I hope they kill him. That's not really a Billy Donovan way.
Grayson
Allen. Yeah, that guy. So who knows? It might get weird. This is the playoff, and so I will say this: the Bulls will turn up some defense. But if I'm going off of what I've seen from the Bulls, I mean, they're fucked in every direction.
I think after a while, the Milwaukee length, their size, their length is going to be a fucking issue.
Yep.
So,
100%. 100%. The only one that the other ones that I really like, I do like the Nuggets against the Warriors in that series. They really did take care of them this year. Now, granted, there were different players playing. I thought the Warriors were going to really want to play the Jazz. That didn't really work out. And when you look at the Raptors and the 76ers, it's going to be an interesting series. I do think the 76ers win the series. Game 1 at 4.5. What do you think? That's your squad. What do you got?
Wow. This is actually the one matchup that I don't love. This is the one I didn't really want all that much to do with in the first round. I mean, obviously, Bucks, Heat, Brooklyn. I think all those would be tough in the first round, but I do think yes, because Toronto is long and lengthy, and they got interchangeable parts, and I just think there's matchup issues. And then you got the situation that when the Sixers go to Toronto, Matisse Thybulle can't play because of the vaccination status, and they lose a huge part of the defense there. Like, I give a slight edge to the Sixers, but I will not be surprised one iota if they lose the series. And that's unbelievable for me to say.
Yeah, which is crazy, especially because the year Embiid's having, some of the success that we've seen with Harden, even though, I don't like Philly either. I think something's wrong there. In this series, I think they do win, but I think it's going to be a little awkward. It's going to maybe 7 games, and that may hurt the 76ers long term in this East battle, man. It's just going to be it's going to be a gauntlet, dude.
You got to tell me what Harden I'm getting. Like, if James Harden's been playing a possum, if he's been playing possum for the last, 2 weeks, whatever, and he turns up in the playoffs, and then, okay, maybe I reevaluate what I'm saying. But if that is James Harden, what I've been seeing, where he's lost that explosion and they don't really have to worry about him, because before he would just get fouled. Now you don't have to foul him because you can actually guard him.
Right.
That's a problem, but we'll see. Like I said, I do lean Sixers, and I'm trying not to be a homer about this because obviously as a fan, I want them to win. But I think Toronto. I think Toronto's got the better coach. I'll tell you that.
If Toronto runs fast, this is why I'm staring at this total right now, 217. I'm loving the over in this game, and if Toronto plays fast, they want to play fast, and Embiid will drop 40 if he wants to. This could get ugly quick. So I'm leaning on the over on that game heavy. We'll see, though. Again, who knows?
I could see it. I could definitely see it.
The lowest total on the board in the first round is the Jazz and the Mavericks. It's the only series that we haven't covered. We could talk about that real quick. I think it's going to be a great series. I think it's a toss-up. I love the Mavericks at home, plus 4.5. Are you kidding me? But is that a trap? I don't know. My gut's been telling me good things. And I kind of like the over here at 214.5. What do you think?
Well, the biggest concern for me is Luka playing or not, because he got hurt. There's no timetable. They're they're good, but they're not the same team without him. No. I think the Jazz called a huge break not having Luka, to be honest with you. But could the Mavericks win that? Sure. They got other guys, but he's such a huge part of the focus, and he sets up a lot of what they do. That I like Jalen Brunson at the point. I think he was great. He can play that. They don't have Porzingis anymore. And just like in theory, though, like if Luka's not playing, who is the guy that you're worried about killing you? Is it Jalen Brunson? Is it Powell? Is it who is it going to be? That's the thing I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it's the whole team. I think it's a team effort and purely fading that whole storyline, right? And I think that's why it's 4.5. And watch the Mavericks win that game. The crazier it sounds, the more I like it.